Fukushima never again!
Fukushima, never again.
Fukushima never again! Fukushima never again! Thank you! Thank you everybody! Thank you for joining our 80th No Nukes Action Rally. We are here every 11th of the month. We got together and protest our Japanese government's nuclear policy. We are demanding the country, not only Japan, whole world, without any nuclear power plant, and also we demand abolish all the nuclear weapons. That's why we are here again, standing at the front of Japanese, San Francisco Japanese Consulate. It is already 8 more years past, and what's happening in there is not really optimistic situation. The first of all, the state declaration of nuclear emergency is still there. What we really need is this from the getting out from the declaration of nuclear emergency and take care of still the suffering victims, especially for children still living in the higher level of the radiation. The government is not taking care of them. Government is also cutting the compensation from the victims who relocated for themselves, and also they say so-called decontamination. It is just putting a contaminated material in the plastic bag and then just piling up. So many stories, and everywhere. People don't know where to put. So it is just moving those materials, contaminated materials, into A spot to B spot. Also, the situation of the Fukushima nuclear power plant itself is still really grave condition, which is we don't know exactly how to retrieve those melted core, because the condition and location we still don't know. So it's very hard. This decontamination task maybe not only maybe 1 decade, it takes more than decades. Radiation is really hard to eliminate. Some takes 100 years to get safe levels. Some stay higher levels. So entire Japan is really contaminated. Even now, the contaminated soil from Fukushima, the Japan is trying to spread all over in Japan for the construction of the road, the construction of the harbor. So those, just in case of the tsunami, earthquake, typhoon, those contaminated material is just spread. It's really not safe. People are trying to prevent this, but it's a big Japanese organization. The government is stepping forward, like to spread soil all over. Plus, from the Fukuichi couple of years, there are no space to store the contaminated water because 400 tons of water is pouring to keep cool for the melted core. Those water contaminated. They tried to take off some radiation but cannot take everything. Those contaminated water is stored in tank. Because the full of tank, now the TEPCO want to release to the Pacific Ocean against fishermen's cry. And now so much money spending to the Olympic, but also Japan is putting game of the softball and the sub baseball and the Paralympic to the Fukushima in Azuma Athlete gym. Behind this stadium has a forest, so that the radiation is always by wind and the rain come to the area. But Japan government wanted to advertise that Fukushima is already safe, accident is contained. So Fukushima is a good place to have Olympic. Young athletes come and play, and all their families and people, everybody come. People, I think, believing the government saying it is safe, but they they get exposed to the radiation. We really oppose, and then we really oppose the Tokyo Olympic that spend the money, those money, please, put that to take care of the help and save the Fukushima victims. And of course, the cancer is increasing by the data, and then the kids' side of the cancer is over 200, and even the the newborn babies, heart abnormality is increasing, and then the kids, those autism and the mental stress, those are much more than the before the nuclear meltdown. Those are data really indicated. It's just a government doesn't want to show those. So the all private research group is showing those. Anyway, today I want Steve Zelcher, who actually went to Japan May, and then look at the Japan's real condition and they interviewed so many people. So we want to hear what he is going to report. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chizu, for that report. So I visited Fukushima last month, and there were very serious problems there. I visited teachers in a town near Fukushima, and the children have hypertension. They have all kinds of problems because of what is going on, and they're collecting a survey. The government does not want any kind of serious investigation, and the government has brought in so-called experts to tell the people in the community that everything is fine, there are no problems. So the government is basically trying to tell them, don't worry, be happy. That's the mentality. I visited a worker in Tokyo who was a cleanup worker, and he said that his team of cleanup workers were trying to clean up the roofs and move the earth around. 2 of the workers in his unit had gotten cancer as a result of doing this work. And also he says that they bribe people. They pay them money and they don't tell them the dangers. that they will get cancer. So you have a lot of people who are in bad shape financially, and the government uses that through contractors, subcontractors, including Yakuza, to recruit these workers. And they also are trying to bring in immigrant workers, migrant workers into Fukushima without proper training, and that is another scandal. I also met activists who are organizing. I met with Mr. Murata, who's a former ambassador from Japan to Switzerland, and he reported about the fact that it's completely crazy to go to Fukushima, and he is working with the former Prime Minister Koizumi to organize against it and to stop the Olympics. And we know that if the Olympics are going on in Fukushima and there's a major earthquake, it could lead to the rupture of the water tanks, the radioactive tritium water tanks, leading to thousands of gallons, millions of gallons going into the area, the ocean. It can lead to the collapse of the plants, the nuclear plants, releasing more radiation. And the fact that the government, the Abe government, would tell them that everything's safe. Now we know also as well that the president of the Japanese Olympics is now being prosecuted by the French for corruption. So you have systemic corruption. They lied to the Olympic Committee, they lied to the people, and they basically financially were involved in corruption in getting the Olympics. And that is all as well coming out. I also talked with a member of Go West, an activist who talked about the conditions of the refugees and how they are being harassed by the government, those refugees who are trying to warn the public that they're dangerous hotspots, not just in Fukushima, but throughout Japan. One of the things the government has refused to release is where the hotspots are in Japan. And in fact, there are hotspots in Tokyo from the nuclear radiation. We went into the mountains of Fukushima, Idati village, where the very high rate of radiation, and we got evidence of that, and people do not want to come back. And they built a school there to entice people, a new school. They spent millions of dollars on a new school. Only 3 kids came back to this new school because families do not want their children in a radioactive area, which I understand. Why would you want your children who are susceptible to cancer to come back to a radioactive area? But the government is continuing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to get people to go back. They don't want to go back. So as a whitewashing, that's exactly what it is. They're having the Olympics in Fukushima. Now you have to be mad and crazy to believe that you should have the Olympics there. And they're putting thousands of possible tourists in there, and we're going to try to stop it, to lead an international campaign to stop the Olympics, because this is a dangerous proposition, and it needs to be exposed. Only a government that had no honesty, no integrity, would actually try to have an Olympics in a nuclear meltdown site. Think about the reality of that. You've got to be absolutely crazy. And that's what we are saying, that Prime Minister Abe and his government are insane. That's what all you can imagine. You can never imagine, when I talk to people here in this country about the Olympics being in Fukushima, they can't believe it. They can't believe that the government would actually put the Olympics in Fukushima. But that is the mentality, and that's why people need to know about it. We're having this event here, this protest, because we're going to continue to get our story out, regardless of the pressure for people not to know. So we say, stop the nukes now. Stop the nukes now.
Stop the nukes now.
Stop the nukes now.
Stop the nukes now.
No Olympics in Japan.
No Olympics in Japan.
No Olympics in Japan.
No Olympics in Japan.
No Olympics in Fukushima.
No Olympics in Fukushima.
No Olympics in Fukushima.
No Olympics in Fukushima.
Stop the madness.
Stop the madness. Thank you. Also,
Just an addition to what Steve was saying, that we went to Minamisoma from Fukushima by driving, and on the way there, you go through Iidate village. But Steve was saying earlier that when you go through Iidate village, we start here realizing that the radiation Geiger counters are going up slightly, and start seeing the black bags. Apparently it has a name in Japan, but I forgot the name, but piled up, thousands of black bags piled up, pile in here, another pile in here, one after another. You start seeing it. And we didn't see anybody on the street, and no one on the road on the way there. And apparently government, what she was saying, that the government built a new elementary school, middle school, but almost none of those locals children came back. Only a couple or two, three of them, and they have to busing in the other students to the brand new school. But this, so much money they spent to build it, but apparently almost empty, the school. Yeah. So and we put the Geiger counter in one spot, which is normal is probably 0.02 or 0.05. And that one was 0.48 or something. And apparently looks like the rate is lower than what they thought, but still so many times higher than the normal rate. And no wonder no one was around. None of the stores, none of this, all empty. But anyway, and so we went to Minamisoma City Hall, and we met some of the people, activists and the students, teachers, like that. But although government is saying that it's already, decontaminated, safe, but looks like so many areas is still high level of the radiation, and the Abe's bring 6 baseball games and the 6 softball games of Olympics into Fukushima, that I understand, and so that will sound like a very crazy idea that the people have to go through that, and then be there and sit there. So, well, I guess we have to keep fighting then.
Yeah, I heard that monitoring post. I wonder they are taking some more away because isolating. That remind people that accident. So taking off, even the monitoring post is famous that their level is much lower than the actual level. Also, about 4,000 people working on the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant now for the decommissioning. But those workers, have to have a limit of the dosage, so that they need always replace the workers. Now TEPCO is issuing the visa for the foreign people to come.
Wow.
But so many concerns because first of all the language barriers, right? Because they said they test of the Japanese language, but and also how much they know about danger of the radiation, right? Even the Japanese, ourselves make miscommunication, even same language we use, because some people don't know about the importance and the danger of the nuclear plant, so that go get the tie the screw bolt over there, but sometimes they just do not really tight. that make a big problem later on, right? Same thing happened. And then the foreigners, those people, when they are discharged and they go back to their own countries, then what's happened if they start in the cancer because of the radiation, right? Who's gonna take care of them? I think the Japan's always having foreign people and they kind of throw them away. Attitude is. So I kind of condemn that way, but problem is always continuing in Japan. It's nothing really contained, right? That's why we are here. Okay, so no nukes action always asking somebody write a letter to Mr. Abe, Prime Minister. This time, our hardcore member, one of the hardcore member, Steve Zelter wrote the letter. This time, Yoko Clark will read because he has a little cold for the sore throat. So, okay, Yoko-san, please.
Hi everyone. Okay. Okay, it's a letter written by Steve Zelter, and I'm just reading this for him. So it says, letter to Prime Minister Abe. We are here today at San Francisco Japanese Consulate on May 11th, 2019, to call for the immediate halt of the restarting of all nuclear plants in Japan. This is the 80th action that we have had since the Fukushima nuclear disaster. You have said in order to obtain the Olympics that Fukushima has been, quote, decontaminated, unquote. This untruth has been challenged openly, even by former Prime Minister Kan and Koizumi. Yet you and your government continue to put out false propaganda about the reality of the situation. The melted radioactive gods are still in the reactors of Fukushima, and there's over 1 million tons of radioactive tritium-contaminated water. Your government has sought to release this water in the Pacific Ocean, despite the opposition of the Fishermen's Association and the communities. There are also tens of thousands of bags of contaminated material spread throughout Fukushima. Is this your decontamination? You and your government have sought to force other prefectures to take this contaminated material and is using it in road construction, thereby spreading out the danger material. We are demanding that you allow the Fukushima families who have escaped the nuclear catastrophe to return to Fukushima or lose their housing subsidies. Would you have your children and grandchildren living in Fukushima as we are demanding of the Fukushima children and families? You and your government have also allowed the endangerment of the workers who are involved in the cleanup through subcontracting, sometimes by Yakuza and without proper health and safety protection. Many of these workers are day laborers who have been recruited but not informed of the dangers. These workers have gotten cancer, and instead of your government taking responsibility for the health issues caused by radioactive dangers, your government has sought to cause shift to them personally. You and your government have also allowed the recruitment of migrant workers in this cleanup, and they have not been properly trained and protected after they leave the job. The effort to whitewash the continuing dangerous radioactive dangers by you and your government is now combined with the effort to have the Olympics baseball, softball, and Para-Olympics at the Azuma Stadium in Fukushima. We are placing athletes, their families and tourists in serious and potentially deadly danger. They will be in areas of contamination and also the potential of an earthquake that could rupture the thousands of tanks of radioactive water, as well as leading to further destabilization and potential massive contamination of the broken Fukushima nuclear reactors. At the same time, you and your government are pressing ahead to deny the dangers of Fukushima. You are pushing to eliminate Article 9 of the Japan's constitution so you can remilitarize Japan and become a nuclear power. You and your government have also passed secrecy and conspiracy laws, not to protect the people of Japan, but to intimidate and threaten journalists and whistleblowers about the real situation of Fukushima and the systemic corruption of your government. You and your police have even arrested a refugee from Fukushima who was protesting in Hiroshima and letting the public know of these dangers. Other anti-nuclear activists have been arrested and harassed for simply passing out flyers about these dangers. We protest the big lie of you and your government that everything is under control despite the real facts on the ground. We'll continue to demand that the families and children be defended and there be a halt to the restart of all nuclear plants in Japan and around the world. Steve Zelter, No Nukes Action Committee, San Francisco, California.
You mean from 26?
What?
26 film viewing.
Also, I wanted to let everyone know that we videotaped many interviews while we were in Japan of the ambassador and different people, activists, and also teachers and a railroad worker. And we're going to be screening this. It'll be a rough cut video on May 26th at 1:30 at Kitteridge, the main library in Berkeley. And we're also going to have Dr. George Wright, who's going to be speaking about the Olympics, the corruption in the Olympics, and the fact that the Olympics has not become really about athletic competition, but making money. They're going to have the Olympics in Japan in August, the worst month of the year for the athletes, and very difficult in an open stadium. And it may be that some athletes may even die from the heat because of the tremendous heat. And the reason for that is that the television companies in the United States don't want any competition to football and basketball, other sports. So they're putting the lives of the athletes in danger in this Olympics in order to protect their profits, and that's really what this is about. Japan has bribed the Olympic Committee to get the Olympics. They've lied, they falsified the information, and they put it in a very dangerous time in August. So all these things combined, Dr. Wright is going to talk about as far as the Olympics, as well as showing you the video and a discussion about what's really going on in Fukushima. So we hope you can all go. And it is going to be on the website of No Nukes Action.
Okay, thank you. So that's about this rally. We continue again, of course, for June 11th. Exactly here, 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Stop the nukes now.
Stop the nukes now. Stop the nukes now. Stop the nukes now. Stop the nukes now. Stop the nukes now.
Shut the nukes now.
Fukushima never again.
Fukushima, never again.
Fukushima never again.
Fukushima never again.
Fukushima never again.
Fukushima, never again.
Fukushima never again.
Fukushima, never again.
Hiroshima never again.
Hiroshima, never again.
Hiroshima never again.
Hiroshima, never again.
Nagasaki never again.
Nagasaki, never again.
Nagasaki never again.
Nagasaki, never again.
Fukushima never again.
Fukushima, never again.
Shut down all the nukes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
See